Everybody's talking about the Cleveland Browns draft, the names, the highlights, who they took early, but I don't think people are really paying attention to what Andrew Berry really did behind the scenes. Because yeah, the Browns added talent. They added guys like Spencer Fano, Casey Concepcion, Denzel Boston, and Emmanuel Warren, players that, depending on who you ask, was first round type players. That's great, but that's what everybody sees. But what if I told you that the most important move that the Browns made this weekend didn't even happen in this draft class? And that's where it gets very interesting because while fans are locked in on the current roster, Barry's already thinking about next year and even beyond that. We're talking about stacking picks, extra selections, positioning the team to have flexibility when it matters most. And let's be real for a second. Everything still comes back to that quarterback position. Now, if Shador comes in and prove he's the guy right away under Todd Monken, the Browns are still going to be in the market for a future quarterback. So Shador got to come in and do his thing because it's not just about who they drafted. It's about what they're setting themselves up to do next. I came across this article that really breaks it down. And honestly, it made me look at the entire draft a little differently. So let's get into it. Now, this article says Andrew Berry's most underrated NFL draft move will help Browns next year. Now, this is the Cleveland Browns SI Sports Illustrated. Cleveland Browns general manager Andrew Berry had another stellar NFL draft, but his most underrated move will help the Browns next offseason. So this is basically talking about what he did for next year. Now, the 2026 NFL draft is in the books, and early returns are that the Cleveland Browns aced it again. So they did their thing. Everybody's giving their kudos. But additional draft capital will help the Browns in 2027. So basically, they're saying that the Browns is gearing themselves for the next year. NFL general managers were holding on to 2027 draft picks like gold throughout the entire weekend. Only 2027 draft picks were moved, and the Browns received two of them. Unless Shador Sanders can prove to be the franchise quarterback for the Browns in his first season with the new head coach Todd Monken, Cleveland Browns QB1 of the future probably awaits them in 2027 draft. Now, they're basically saying that Shador has to come out and take the job and become the guy. And he's going to get every opportunity to do that too. I'm convinced of that because they have to find out what they got. What picks will the Browns have next year? The Browns have their own selections in every round besides sixth round next year. In round 4 next year, the Browns will have 3 total selections in round 5. So they just go basically through here and they just talk about how Barry made 10 selections in 2026 and currently has 10 selections for next year's class. This is Andrew Berry being quoted. I talked about our goal heading into the weekend. It's not just the first round, but it's how do we maximize the resources that we head into the draft with, Barry said. Now, the Browns maximized value throughout the entire weekend and set themselves up to ace a third straight draft in 2027. Utilizing a few of these extra selections could help Barry trade up the draft board, especially if the Browns are too talented to lose their way into the top selections next year, or the Browns will be able to sacrifice future draft capitals in 2028 and beyond to acquire their quarterback of the future, understanding they already have bonus draft pick to be able to trade back up if needed. Flexibility is the name of the game for Barry as general manager, and the Browns are already better suited than most teams other than the New York Jets heading into 2027 NFL draft. So this article is basically saying that Andrew Berry set himself up real pretty, not just the draft picks that he got this year. He aced that. He aced last year, but he set himself up real pretty for next year. But the thing about it, it makes more sense for them to play Shador. If he wins, you got your franchise quarterback. If he loses, you still got your top pick in 2027. So it's a win-win for Shador. He get a chance to play, and the Browns get a chance to see if they got their franchise quarterback. Why would you play Watson unless you think he was going to take you to the playoffs or the Super Bowl, and then you would have to pay him more money? We got the Arena podcast. It was a good show where they were talking about the Browns rebuilt around Shador Sanders. Let's take a listen.
Will these picks help Shador?
Tremendously. I think the Browns, honestly, I think
they won the draft. They checked all the boxes that they needed to check, and they got good players, man. They started to revamp that line in free agency with re-signing Telvin Jenkins, Zion Johnson, Elton Jenkins. Now you add Spencer Fano and Austin Barber to that. I think you might be on to something. You know what I'm saying? I'm Todd Monken. He might like that situation. Then you give him a explosive, twitchy receiver, nice 6-foot receiver, who's a touchdown machine, who also gonna help. He gonna help Shedeur by putting that offense in good positions from his punt returns as well. Then you give him a 6'4", 50-50 ball, red zone problem in Boston. So I honestly think Boston, Concepcion, and Judy, them might be the 3 receivers on the field the first time they go 11 personnel.
Ooh.
I can see them guys on the field real early with Shedeur. You add Fannin Jr. and Judkins to that, shit, Monken might be on something. You know what I'm saying? He might like what he got going. So I'm excited to see him. And I think they had a great draft. And I'm excited to see what Monken do with that group.
Yeah. Cody, you've been heavy on they needed both those. How are you feeling?
Yeah, no, I love the moves that Andrew Berry has made this offseason, not only in the draft, but the entire offseason to put their quarterback, whoever it is, if it's Shedeur, if it's Deshaun Watson, whoever wins that position battle, in a great
better be Shedeur, but go ahead.
It very well could be Skip, and I think he should be the first guy out there throughout this offseason and get those ones reps. But I think it will be an open competition. It'll come down to whoever gives their team the best chance to win. But either way, whoever does win that quarterback battle, Andrew Berry is putting them in a position to succeed this entire offseason. First thing they do is they go out and hire Todd Monken, who's an offensive-minded head coach and has had a lot of success as a play caller. He won back-to-back national championships with Georgia, led one of the most dominant offenses each of those years, helped Stetson Bennett become a Heisman finalist, and then he also went to Baltimore and had a lot of success, especially early on. 2023, Lamar Jackson wins the MVP. 2024, he throws for 41 touchdowns, only 4 interceptions, and runs for another 400 yards. The thing I love most about Todd Monken, too, and his offense is his versatility within the scheme. He does a great job of maximizing his quarterback's potential, regardless of who it is. Stetson Bennett and Lamar Jackson are 2 completely opposite type of quarterbacks, yet both have had success in his offense. That's a testament to Monken, the way that he can build his offense around his quarterback. The next thing they did, too, before the draft is they went out and made some moves up front with the offensive line in free agency.
Last football season, sitting here on this couch in a different place, but pretty much this couch, that Pro Football Focus throughout the year ranked Cleveland's offensive line bottom of the barrel, dead last. Receiving corps, dead last for much of the football season. It sometimes varied a little bit, but that just ended. So I kept saying, you got to give Shedeur a break as a rookie starting quarterback. His degree of difficulty is off the charts because they can't block for him and they don't have anybody who can separate and get open and catch the football. But Quinshon Judkins is a keeper, and Fannin Jr. is a keeper, and he started to emerge starting the middle of the year. And Carson Schlesinger won Rookie of the Year over on the other side. So you've got back-to-back drafts that are like A to A+ drafts. So your foundation is being built, hopefully, for Shedeur Sanders. And the main thing, as you guys pointed out, that they've done with the offensive line, they just blew it up.
Yeah.
They completely blew it up and started over, because what I do love the most is they have not re-signed Cam Robinson or Jack Conklin or Butonio. They're just like, no, we've seen your act. We're done with you. And Fano will come in, and I assume he's a day one starter at left tackle. Okay, now you've started fresh with a potential perennial Pro Bowler. So all that is nothing but great. But I got to mention this because it just pissed me off, is that we get all the way to the 6th round. And if you remember, Akib, the day after the combine, I did bring up Taylon Green because I watched him a lot at Arkansas, and you laughed at him because he turns the ball over a lot. He did in the SEC. But I just said, man, there's a lot to love here because he's 6'6". What's he go, like 230? Ran 4.36 at the combine. And he's got a nice arm, and he started 25 SEC games for Arkansas. And they weren't very good, but I would watch him because he's mesmerizing, because if you watch him carefully, you say, wow, that was a nice throw. Oh, that was good. That was stupid, but that was nice. And I don't know why that they took 8 of their 10 picks were offensive players, which is great, great, great. And then why would you do that to Shador? Why would you bring in a kid? And it just scares me that Monken is saying, I can work with that. I can ultimately do something with that, because there's just a lot to like. He's not just a running quarterback, because he was what, 9th in the country this year in yards per completion with.
Now, that was a great move for Andrew Berry to get as much talent as he can at every position. It's all about competition. This is what you want. Shador's going to have to battle whoever they put in front of him, Deshaun Watson. And once he gets the starting job, then the sky's the limit. But until then, and even then, he's going to have to battle with competition. Everybody do. I don't see anything wrong with them picking up Green in the 6th round. I think it's a plus, and I'm looking forward to seeing what he looks like in a Browns uniform. Well, let me know what you guys think. See you on the next video.